Adam, first of all, the Crows' thoughts on the Victoria All-Stars concept for the bushfires game?
Yeah, we're quick to throw our support behind it. We think it's a great initiative of the AFL and the AFL clubs and AFLPA to come together. Announcement today that there's $2.5 million going in to support bushfire victims, $1 million of which is going to support the wonderful work of the Australian Red Cross, and $1.5 million being put into that community relief fund. And when you think of a club like Western Districts over in Kangaroo Island have just lost their football facilities, a fund like that is going to be much needed across SA, Victoria and New South Wales.
I'm right in saying each club has to nominate 3 players?
Yeah, each club will have up to 3 players available. We're still yet to know what the selection process will look like. We'll confirm that with the AFL in the coming days.
So do you think your best players will make themselves available?
Yeah, look, our players, right from throughout these devastating bushfires, our players have been keen to demonstrate their willingness to support the community. I've got no doubt the players are going to want to make themselves available. So for us now, it's to work with the AFL on the selection process, and then we'll be able to know who those players will be.
So no clarity yet on that selection process?
No clarity as yet. All we know at this point in time is that there'll be a maximum of 3 players from any AFL club.
And your team, your boys could be spread through the 2 teams, 2 for one and 1 for the other?
Yeah, exactly. I think there's been a bit of speculation about how the 2 teams would look like, and I think we've seen Talia named at fullback in one of the Victorian teams, and we've had Laird and Smith named in defence in the Allies team. So it could be across both teams.
Is there any concern from the club's point of view, Adam?
Look, there's no concern. First and foremost, we're here to support the AFL's initiative, and that's to raise much needed funds for the victims of the bushfires, support the outstanding work that our emergency services personnel have done, and get around a community that's really thrown its arms around each other. And you can only be proud to see what has happened in the community, the way in which everybody has supported each other, and certainly the generosity of the Australian public and further aboard.
So those 3 players, I'm assuming that they wouldn't play in one of the JL or so March series games that'll be on around that time?
No, they wouldn't. And the reality is that once we get into February and then you work your way through to round 1, on any given weekend there'll be trial games, there'll be match simulation. At all times there'll be players who are exposing themselves to the potential of injury. On February 28, up to 3 of our players will be playing in a game, and there's a chance that sometimes players get injured in games of footy, the same that they could get injured at training or match simulation or walking down the street. So what I know is that our players are committed to supporting the AFL in this initiative.
And that's your buy round anyway, so you've got a game the week before and the week after, so you just manage those players through that period?
Yeah, exactly. We'll be managing the players' loads through that period, and certainly when we get into the selection process, the AFL will be cognizant of not every player is going to be right to play on that weekend, because there could be injuries between now and then.
There's a lot of interest in the state of origin, the idea of it going forward. I mean, where do you see it? Do you think this could be a good little preview and perhaps build on that as a regular thing, or what are your thoughts on that, I suppose?
Yeah, rather than sort of debate the virtues of state of origin footy, I think what's really important is to acknowledge the AFL and this initiative, and certainly it'll be a vehicle that will garner a lot of public interest, and through that we'll get the sort of fundraising that we're looking to generate. The $2.5 million that's been announced today is just a start. Certainly from a club's point of view, our involvement in this is just part of a commitment that the club will be making in the coming months to supporting South Australians' community.
In saying that, there's been talk about a Crows v Port Adelaide T20 game. Is there any kind of update on that, or is it in the planning stages? Is there anything you can tell us about that?
Yeah, certainly both ourselves and Port have discussed any opportunity where we can come together and in solidarity come together supporting SA community. The final details are not yet known. There are multiple stakeholders that would be involved in something such as a T20. So all the stakeholders are working together to try and confirm whether it can or can't happen.
So does this concept on February 28 change? Could that possibly change the dynamic for the T20 game? Does it make it harder?
Yeah, I think it's just another initiative that we could be involved in.
Okay.
So, this is obviously a national initiative, and one of which that we're very supportive of in all of the AFL clubs coming together and all of the AFL players coming together to support a national initiative. The prospect of something like a T20 game would be more about supporting the South Australian community in particular.
Is it a case of waiting for the Big Bash season to finish finished, that maybe opens up Adelaide Oval to be more valuable?
Yeah, there's a lot of, when you think about something like this, there are multiple stakeholders who are involved, football, cricket, Adelaide Oval, etc. So the final details of which the stakeholders will try and work through, and we'll announce something as soon as we can get the detail together, if that's something that can be confirmed and something we will proceed with.
Do you see it as a realistic possibility though at this stage? Like, is there confidence that you can make it happen?
I think the stakeholders have all expressed the desire to do what they can to get behind the SA community. So that's the place from which we all start. Whether we can get everything to work and everyone to come together and agree and have a lot of things fall into place, that's yet to be known, but all stakeholders are working collaboratively to explore that opportunity.
Adam, where are you at with your head of leadership and culture?
It's a work in progress still. We're still trying to find the right person, and we'll continue that process. It's very hard to put a deadline on these things. What's most important to us is finding the right person. So we're continuing that process.
How far progressed were you with Rupert Sapwell in those discussions?
Look, as reported, there have been conversations between ourselves and Rupert. That's not going to eventuate. I'm not going to talk about the detail involved in the process itself, but Rupert was somebody that we were talking to prior to Christmas. Is not going to eventuate. We've got other people that we're talking to about the role.
Just on McShane, is there a concrete time when he comes into Adelaide for training, trials, etc.?
Yeah, still working through the final details. We expect him to be over here in the next week or 10 days, and he'll spend a couple of weeks inside of the club's program. We're really excited about him. His physical attributes, 190 centimetres plus, combination of power and speed, top scorer in the All-Ireland Championship this year, and was awarded All-Star honours. So we're excited about what he can potentially deliver. Our recruiting team have done a good job to spark his interest in the club, and we're really looking forward to him coming over.
Is there a tug of war with Brisbane at all? I heard some chatter that Brisbane had him or were interested in him, and now he's kind of coming down to Adelaide.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. I know that our recruiting team had identified him as some talent who could potentially assist our program, so not aware of any other AFL club he may or may not have spoken to.
Did the club identify that a key forward role was there needed to be more depth added in that department?
I think it's more about just identifying talent to bring into the program, and certainly with McShane, I don't know if you had the opportunity to look at some of his vision, but he's a very exciting prospect, and whether he can transfer those skills into the Australian footy system, that's yet to be seen, but certainly from a physical point of view, he's a very exciting prospect.
Have you made a commitment to him at this point?
No. So he'll be out here for a few weeks. That's for two reasons. One, for he to get used to the club and our program and get a feel for Adelaide itself, and vice versa, for us to see him in action out with our squad.